Welcome to Eric's Sawana's Eric and Sawana, and maybe Griffin in there, and Trey. We can throw them all in there.
You'll get used to it at some point.
It's so hard. Like,
it is.
You know, it was mine forever, and now I have to. I guess it's like getting married.
Are you an only child?
Nope.
All right. You should be better at sharing.
I am good at sharing. I just forget. I'm so used to this. Today's a sad day, kind of for me. I think I told you. I had a great bookkeeper, Barb Birdseye, who's been in Anthem since 2008. She is leaving Anthem and no longer being the bookkeeper for We Care and ACTS. She helped start ACTS and NAPE and all this stuff, and she's been an amazing lady, so I'm going to miss her. So I felt like crying when I just left her over at she works at the council building a couple days a week. Great lady. So Barb, thank you for everything you did. I'm sure you don't watch this. I don't even know if you could find this, but maybe we could send
We'll send it to her.
Anyways, let's move on. Thank you for watching the show. Sawana, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for putting up with me.
Always.
Really.
You're my favorite.
She really wants to record everything that happens before the show.
I do.
We're going to do one over at the brewery.
Yeah. The after hours.
Yes. We're going to do a good show one time. I mean, they're all good.
They're all good.
I mean, just funnier. All right, I'm sorry to keep you waiting down there.
Oh, I'm good.
She's
I'm
like,
enjoying the banter.
what is going on here? We got
Who are these
Kayla Wyckoff
Yes.
you're with
Victory Schools.
Victory Schools.
Yes.
Right.
Primarily Victory Autism Academy, as it's going to apply out here in Anthem.
Yeah.
So it's a physical location here in Anthem?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Where's it located at?
Right over, it's actually in the old Caris Academy building, which was then Basis and now Victory Autism Academy.
Right by the post office, right?
No,
Somewhere
so.
close?
Yeah, the 612 campus,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the 612. You know numbers?
I know numbers. Well,
What's the
that was
612
Caris'
campus?
612. The K5 is the one by Grace North.
6 through 12. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm a little slow.
Right over there off of 42nd Street.
Got it. Well, tell us, what do you do there at
Yes,
Victory?
I am actually the ESS director, so the director of special schools over with Victory Autism Academy. So Victory Schools is our entity. We've actually just really branded as a district because we had Victory Autism Academy, which is our private sector. And then we also have a public charter that we have called Victory Collegiate Academy. And as we've continued to grow, we just kind of banded together as one district. And we have a lot of different avenues for education now. So we're really excited to bring Victory Autism Academy out here into the Anthem area. So that way, just kind of our path, we call it our path to victory, just kind of our growth plan and filling needs where we need it. So I oversee a lot of those special schools, actually, the Anthem campus being one of them, as well as all of our East Valley schools and a couple of our Phoenix locations as well.
That's awesome. Being a special needs mom myself, like my kids have always gone to district schools, right? And then they fall under IEPs and things like that. Obviously, there's some children that just does not work out for. We know that autism is a spectrum, right? So where does Victory Schools come in? How do they differentiate from going to district school, going to developmental pre-K, all that kind of stuff?
I think that the big difference for that is going to be how much we're able to differentiate. I love a district placement. I love a district school. I'm also a special needs mom, and my kids did the integrated preschool, the special needs preschool, and they did the 504 and the IEPs up through elementary and all of those things. And I think that what's different about us is that our whole program is dedicated to meet the needs of individuals on the spectrum. So we meet the whole spectrum. We have classes that focus primarily on those life skills. We have classes that are getting students ready to go to college. We have different pathways to service each kind of kiddo, which just really helps us individualize the programming even more than I think a district school would allow. They try their best with the resources that they have, and I think that that's honorable and great and wonderful. But as you said, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not individualized enough. Sometimes the classroom sizes aren't big enough. We've seen budget cuts, we've seen schools shutting down. So those programs just keep getting larger and larger, and I think that the support that's going into them isn't getting larger and larger.
Yeah.
So, we're running on little resources with more students to serve and a different variety of needs to serve. So I think that where we come in with that is really us just being able to individualize a lot more, look at those IEPs, push for academic rigor, push for what we call the whole child education. So we're not just focusing on academics. We're focusing on those life skills. We're focusing on community living. We're focusing on social skills, independent living. So our whole mission and our vision is to produce the most independent individual at the end of their academic journey with us. So whether that's they come with us for a couple of years, and their goal is to get back into a district school, just to kind of build up that foundation that they have, or whether their goal is to graduate from high school with us and attend college. We want our individuals, we want to tailor that pathway for them. We want it to be as successful as like humanly possible for that student. And we just don't believe in the limitations that I think that unfortunately we have to place on students within the district sector, because there's so much more red tape, and there's so much more there's so many more channels to go through in order to get something done, where private education's a lot different in that aspect.
Yeah, people want to blame the schools, and you and I know it's not necessarily even the school's fault. Like, they have the state, the DDD programs, these kinds of things to contend with. And what was it, in July, DDD was going through their proposed budget cuts where family members were going to be losing out on attendant care and HAB and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm certain that schools are also impacted by these things.
Absolutely. I mean, it plays a huge, I mean, when we look at the skills deficit that we see with our students, we know that our students have to work 2 times, 5 times harder than a neurotypical student would in order to gain some of those skills. And when you see things like DDD getting cut and those kinds of things, that just limits our parents even more to getting the help that they need. Which I think also kind of differentiates us in private education a little bit more, which is we have very unique attendance plans. You know, because we're private, we don't always have to. We're not so stringent on that 5-day a week. You know, we want that. That's ideal. But we also know you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes your therapist can only meet Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. And if that means that they've got to miss some class time in order to get therapy done and then come back later, we're here to fill in the in-between.
Exactly.
Which I think is great.
Well, yeah, because it's like I know for my youngest, I'm juggling in-home speech, ABA, PT and OT, all of these things, and you want to make it work. And you and I know it's so impossible to find these providers. And so if I have somebody, it's like having a deep babysitting bench. I don't want to lose them. I don't want to let them go.
Exactly.
But you also want them to be successful.
Exactly. And so then, especially once you hit that school age, you know, when your kids are early intervention, when they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even before they go to kindergarten, you're like, hey, ABA in-house therapies are great, but then it comes to, well, now I want to get them in school. Now I want them to have that experience. Parents want to have that experience, right? That's the experience we deserve as parents, is to be able to send our kid off to school and have that first day. So I just think that we enable parents to be able to juggle those kinds of things without it being a sacrifice here or a sacrifice there. So I think that it makes it a little bit more manageable.
That is the end goal.
Yes.
And I mean, like we said, it's a spectrum. It's not the same for everyone, but that is the end goal. You want to see them be successful so that they can go on to regular life and kind of integrate.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. And that's kind of like our overarching success, is just how do we produce the most independent individual, and individual is, that's in IEP, right? Individualized. Right. And I think that with us, we're just able to do that a little bit more. We're able to freely move about a little bit more and really take their education into our hands, and produce something a lot more specialized for them.
What's it look like for a parent to get their kiddo in? Like, do they have to does their All-Tex and DDD cover this? Is this private pay? What does it look like?
So it's a tuition base, but I always tell my parents when I'm doing tours and things, tuition is such a scary word, I think, because when we grow up, we think like private school, that's something really fancy. I like to think we're fancy, but we're actually primarily funded through the ESA scholarship, the Empowerment Scholarship of Arizona. And if you have a primary diagnosis of autism or a medical diagnosis of autism, which the ESA program just came out with a couple years ago, that will actually fund where our tuition is. So we meet our tuition right where an individual's primary diagnosis would fund them. And that's because we take care of everything, the staffing, the curriculum. We have all of that's all provided for you, as well as related services. So any speech or OT or PT that the student might qualify for, we take care of that under just that ESA scholarship fund. We do have a private pay option, but I mean, I don't know many people who have $35,000 just sitting around ready to use.
Eric?
And then, I mean, I would love to know those people, but maybe they share. But then we also do district placement. So we're really lucky to partner with a lot of our districts out throughout the valley, and districts will actually use them. their funds and their ability to place outside of their school. And so a couple of districts will place with us as well, just to kind of help them out. And, if they don't have a program that's meeting that student's needs, they're responsible for finding a program that does. So we're also that avenue, which takes that burden of tuition off of parents as well.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's an amazing option.
Yeah. And it's really nice because we're not, how I've always viewed it is we're not here to displace public schools, but education's not one size fits all. And I think the faster we all recognize that, and the faster that we all acknowledge that, one school's not trying to outdo another. I mean, we want to be the best. That's our goal too. But we want there to be options, right? I always tell my parents, if I can walk down the street and have 12 different options of where I'm going to eat today, why don't I have 12 different options of where I want to send my student? That's available to me. Not that I have to send them out of state or, or pay massive amounts of money out of my own pocket. Like, it should be available, especially for our neurodivergent learners who need that extra and specialized care and attendance. So
square peg round hole.
Exactly.
Right? Like, not one thing is the same for everyone. I'm not the massage therapist for everyone. You're not the mortgage broker for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
JK.
Don't put those.
You're
don't put
for
those
everyone.
allegations
Put me in a
out.
box.
Don't put
for
baby in
everybody.
the corner.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Kayla, how do you tell if you have an autistic child? Like, what are the early
Are
signs?
you asking for Griffin?
He might have missed the early signs.
I wanted
point.
to say that.
Griffin feels attacked.
I didn't say it. This one did. Just so you know. I mean,
Yeah. So I mean, if we're looking at early intervention, early education, and I always hate to use the term stereotypical, but you do look for those stereotypical signs such as stimming, so fidgety hands. Sometimes we see the flapping, nonverbal, so delays in verbal speech, delays in being able to articulate language both receptively and expressively. So they're having some issues cognizantly trying to understand what you're trying to tell them. You'll also see some more repetitive behaviors, so sorting things out by color or size, lining things up, all very stereotypical signs of this, by the way. But you'll also start seeing some sensory aversion, so kids who don't want to touch sand. Have you guys ever seen those YouTube videos of babies who don't want to touch grass and they start freaking out,
Right.
or they don't like the wind? Those can actually be some early indicators that your student might be, or your child might be struggling with some sensory aversion, which is sometimes a red flag for when we start looking at an autism diagnosis.
got it. And then my other question. No more Griffin jokes. What percentage of autistic children actually go out and live on their own once they reach a certain, let's say, I don't know, a regular age, 24, 25?
So I think that that data point is extremely skewed because, as you can kind of tell, so a big thing in the autism world is a lot of the older generations will say, everyone has autism. And back in my day, no one had autism. And I'm like, well, yeah, you did. Grandpa liked to collect stamps obsessively. That probably was that could have been an autistic tendency right there. But as we start seeing a push towards getting identified, and a lot of individuals in their 20s and 30s are being identified as being on the spectrum because they didn't get that early intervention, and they're kind of seeing the signs and getting that late diagnosis. But when we look at it, it just depends on the severity of the profoundness of what their diagnosis is. But we live in a day and era where we're pushing for that independence, and we see. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't necessarily have that statistic offhand, but it's absolutely possible. We're seeing a lot more of the level 1 diagnoses, which is people who just struggle socially. That when we look at the levels of autism, that level 1 diagnosis is struggling with understanding social colloquialism, social expectancy, things like that. But they go out and they live an absolutely independent life. Individuals with level 2 autism can go out and live an absolutely independent life. So it's very possible, and I think the number's a lot greater than what we would assume it was.
So how many levels are there in autism?
Three.
So level 3 cannot live on their own?
I wouldn't say they can't live on their own, but it's going to be extremely difficult. They'll most likely need some degree of help. So possibly there are the students who will, or the individuals who will go on and live in an assisted facility or live with family, things like that, because of the level of profoundness that they're experiencing. But a level 3 also means, we look at behavior, we look at the cognitive ability, we also look at the social ability. You can move those up. It doesn't mean that you're stuck at level 3 forever. So I think that that's why it's so hard to get a definitive statistic on it, is because someone who might have been diagnosed level 3 might move up to a level 2 eventually because of early intervention and therapy and things like that. So it's not a definitive, and that's why it's now the autism spectrum, because it's such a sliding scale of where you can be and where you can land.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why things like this emerge and exist, right? Because then it's not curable. Autism is not a curable thing.
No.
It's how do we learn how to manage life and what's expected from us.
Absolutely.
With this.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is social. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really the biggest tall tale marker, right? Is the social expectations and how you interact socially. And I always tell my parents that finding out the way that a student with autism learns is really we just can't go through the front door to get into the house, right? We just have to find an alternative way to get in the house. Sometimes you got to go through the back door. Sometimes you got to go through a window. But there's other ways to get into the house. It's just not the conventional way that's socially acceptable. And I think that that's something that as the generations turn and as we get more information on autism, we all kind of learn that we all don't learn the same. I mean, I'm sure everyone sitting at the table right now could say, I don't learn that way, or I learn more hands-on, or I learn more visually, or I learn more being able to read the instructions to things. And I think that that's important to, when we're looking at how we categorize an individual with autism spectrum disorder, it's just figuring out the way they learn and not assuming, again, education is one size fits all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's so many variables. I do. But what does a typical day look like at your school for kiddos?
That's awesome. So first off, we want to run this as close to a typical school day as possible, right? We want our kids to have that experience. We don't want it to differ. There's a lot of kids on our campuses who their goal is to eventually go to a regular district high school. They want to go to prom, they want to do those things. So we do arrival, we transport a lot of our own students. So we try to take that off of our parents' plates as well. They'll come in, we always open up with a morning meeting. We do all core academics, but in addition to the core academics that you would do in any other school, we also carve out time for social skills and life skills as well. And then we have a list of specials that we do because we believe the arts are, super important. So we do music therapy, we do art therapy, we do a dedicated block to STEAM, so the science, engineering, technology, math, and arts. And then we do a reteach and intervention, as well as animal therapy. I think I've listed them all. I had to count on my fingers here. But those rotate out through the week, so that way we can kind of enrich our kids' lives a little bit more and get them these experiences that they might be missing out on. So animal therapy focuses on the ability to interact with animals. That's a huge phobia of a lot of our kids.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar animals, but also how to be kind to animals and how to respect animals' boundaries and teaching them those social
Empathy.
expectations.
Yeah.
Yes. And we partner with a really wonderful program called Carter's Farm, and they come out and they do whole units. Like they'll bring out a turkey for Thanksgiving, and then our teachers can enrich that with, lessons on turkeys and things like that. And so they also get to learn about the animals as well. Music therapy, where we focus on body percussion. So not just hearing the music, but being able to feel the music, being able to use that as a sensory outlet. So really just building coping skills and interests through these various different kinds of therapies that we offer as specials for the kids.
Okay.
And then they go home.
I love that.
Yeah.
What would you say? Okay, so I'm assuming you don't have any neurotypical kiddos that go to the school, correct?
No.
It's strictly on the spectrum.
Strictly on the spectrum, but also we service students outside of the spectrum in other exceptionalities. So we also have students with Down syndrome, and we have
ODD.
students who, absolutely, traumatic brain injuries, things like that. Our program is always, it's designed to fit a student with autism, but it benefits so many more.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really special as well, to be able to kind of outreach to just more than just the students with autism. You know, we're not like, if you don't have autism, you can't be here.
Right.
But no typical, we would say typical learners.
Yes. Yeah. So then, like, for instance, my 3.5-year-old is a level 3, right? So I think something like this would make sense for him. Do you feel like for higher functioning kiddos that kind of need to and can integrate into like a district school, that might be a better fit? Do you feel like a level 2, a level 3 is better for you guys, or do you feel that it kind of serves all of those?
I definitely feel that we serve all of those, and I it kind of sounds a little car salesman when I say that, right? But we under 2 years ago, we looked at our program and we noticed that we started getting a lot more of the twice exceptional students, students who were on grade level but just couldn't compete with 30 kids in a classroom, or students who were just socially so unhappy that it was affecting their academics, right? Because they're great on the academics, but you know, they're a little bit quirky or they're a little bit different, and they were getting picked on, things like that. And so we looked at that and we saw that we had a huge influx of these students a couple of years ago. So we actually just we looked at our pathways. So we developed these pathways for our students where we really looked at what do they need to be successful. And so when we look at those pathways, we have a pathway that's for our students who might be, they just need a lot of help integrating into a school program, learning how to follow one-step directions, learning how to be a little bit more independent, follow simple routines, things like that. We're going to work on academics, but it's going to be a lot more functional life skills that are being taught at that level. And then we have a mid-level where those are our kids who socially they're making a lot of gains, academically they're making a lot of gains, but they still need a lot of accommodation and modification in order for them to continue to get up to that grade level.
Yeah.
And then we have our third pathway, which we call our Trailblazers pathway, and those are our kiddos who are at or above grade level. So we're really coming in with a lot of that academic rigor. We're coming in and we're pushing them to get where they want to go. If they're excelling in math, then we're going to meet them where they're excelling, right? If they're a couple of grades ahead in math, great. Let's work on that and then just go from there. And we're working on that social piece that would help them be successful in a college program or in a workplace environment. When you look at our high school program, we start doing internships at local businesses. We start getting the kids out into the workforce so that they can kind of get those skills before they turn 18 and they don't have a system to kind of come in and hold them and teach them those skills. So we want to get in there while they're still excited and while it's new and get them those skills so that they can be successful in that. So I would definitely say we're for everyone. And as we continue to get different kinds of learners, we're always redeveloping and we're looking to improve always, because I always say the field of education and the field of medicine are very similar in the fact that they're always evolving, right? And you cannot stick with one method or two methods that work. You have to evolve, you have to change. And I think that that's what our owner, Nick Sherman, and our deputy director, Crystal Lowe, they really internalize that. And so we're always pushing to what's next in education. How do we get better? How do we make this better for these learners? We have one kid who came in, he's ready for college. What do we do for that? We reach out to Grand Canyon University. We're building pathways with them so that our students can start with them and be successful. So just really great things happen as we continue to get these learners and these different learners, and we just continue to develop and grow the program, which is nice.
All right, Anthem location, when's it open?
It's already open, so we actually just celebrated our first day of school yesterday.
That's so exciting.
Yes, we kicked off with 13 students, and that's pretty typical. We're a slow cooker model. Excuse me. I like to say that we grow as we go.
Word of mouth. Yeah.
Yes, and that's our big thing. Is we want parents to trust us. We want them to come in. We want them to see our program, meet the teachers, and really decide if that program's right for them. So we came out here because we had a lot of parents. Our growing model is, which our owner always says. He says, I don't have a plan on where we're growing. I don't identify locations in advance. But what we do is we go to the Facebook boards and the social media and parents who say, I have a couple of families up in Anthem, and that's what we kept hearing. We have families up in Anthem. They don't have anything. They don't want to be in the school district. They don't want this. You know, when are you going to move there? When are you going to move there? And then so that's when we start looking for those opportunities. And if something comes along, that's great. So we just celebrated our first day of school there yesterday with those 13 students. And I actually just came there right before I got here, and it looks great. I'm super excited. They're actually housing our Sun City campus right now. So we're also opening a Sun City campus this year. It's going well. I'm excited for it.
We're so grateful you guys came up here. There's definitely a need. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard really great things. It's been special to talk to the families out here. We've done a lot of tours, and I always tell families, I'm not here to sell a program. I'm here to give you, as the parents, all the information that you need to think, is this program viable for my child? Because no one's going to know your child better than you do.
Right.
And I say, this is what we offer. If you feel that fits the vision of what you want for your student, here we are. And just hearing the stories from a lot of the families out here has been really, really beautiful and touching. I think this is a great community, and we've already had so many offers of, can we come in and volunteer, and can we do, and that's really special for us as well, because we know that our community is tight-knit in the first place. We all have to kind of have each other's back. So to see them wanting to support the new school has just been really special for us.
I love that.
I don't think you have any passion for this, Kayla.
I don't. Not at all. I could talk to you for hours. It was probably a mistake for you to invite me here.
Never.
Nope.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
And if someone wants to come look at the school, or do they just show up? Do they email you, text you? How do they?
However they want. They can show up. We can make a tour. Typically, we do tours before and after school. We have a website, victoryautismacademy.com. They can do an info email, and we'll get them set up with the administrator, pretty much anything. So they can email any of the admin on our site. So my email's on there. But yeah, they can just reach on out, and we'll get them where they need to go.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Welcome to Anthem.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, great show. Great talk.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Go have a great week. Kick it in the teeth, and we'll see you next week.